at our table because we had great ideas, but we did have one. The 150 years celebration of Canada is coming up. So we thought, why don't we have a wonderful kind of competition in a friendly fashion among all the different cities and small provinces about what can we do in our cities. So it would be 3 things for Canada, and part of it would be, just changing our behavior. So that's what we want to aim for. What can we do for Canada for the centennial? I can't even say it.
So we had lots of different ideas of how we can get to the goals that we're talking about, but I think one thing we agreed on, even though we disagreed about lots of good things, is systems thinking and how it can empower change. So we talked a lot about a guaranteed annual income and how it can support environmental as well as social justice at the same time. We also talked about urgency and about valuing the non-taxable economy, and I hope I covered that.
Like all of the other tables, lots of diverse ideas, lots of diverse people, which I think is the power of Alberta, having a lot of different people with different ideas coming together. Some of the big themes for us: subsidizing renewables, education, both in terms of reskilling, retraining, but also changing our education in the public system, so including indigenous history, that type of thing, climate change information. We talk a lot about cooperatives instead of corporations, involving everyone in the conversation, and that we have a moral obligation to help indigenous communities and the global south.
We had lots of great discussion on the table. I'm not sure I'll be able to touch on everything. I'm going to go through the questions really quick. For question 1, we definitely talked a lot about geothermal, how it's a huge resource that Alberta could definitely capitalize on, in addition to things like solar. And also just on a personal level, how we can start having more conversations about our diet and eating less meat to reduce our carbon footprint. Number 2 would be more educational opportunities for trades workers, especially in more rural areas where they might not be able to get to the big cities. That should be good.
There you go. My group talked about how we think climate change should change, and how it can't just be like 3 people trying to change it. It has to be a whole bunch of people, and if the whole world actually tries, maybe we'll be able to defeat this problem.
But yeah, we kind of had 2 things that popped up. Was everyone seemed to be really in support of strong regulation, top down, and the importance of supporting our government when they come through with that kind of regulation and getting out and showing our support, and then also enabling communities to find unique solutions to their own problems. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about, everyone was in favor of, well, I shouldn't say that, carbon pricing. There was someone talking about thorium at our table. We said the media was too right-wing in Alberta. We need to be able to be more open to talk about other things besides energy, or fossil energy. We did talk to you about that we need regulatory changes to be able to change our transmission of electricity and develop a smart grid that can incorporate geothermal and all the different kinds of renewable energy, because while the wind's not blowing, you need the sun shining and the heat from the earth and that sort of thing. So smart grids, adaptation, change building codes, and we talked again about ecological footprint and et cetera, et cetera. You want me off?
asking us to summarize that conversation in 30 seconds is entirely unfair. But one idea that came up was that the energy that's easiest to produce is the energy you didn't even need to produce. A concerted effort towards energy efficiency nationwide is a really excellent idea. One of the more interesting ideas that came up at our table was the idea of growth and moving to low growth or zero growth into the future. We need to imagine how the energy systems we're going to be building to deal with climate change are going to integrate into the future, because while growth is how we like to think about how our economy needs to work, in the very long term, in the 1,500 year time frame, that's just not going to work. Those are two of our big ideas. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm from this table right here. Some of the things that really stood out for us were touching on several different sectors, so not only energy production, but also agriculture and public transit. To improve energy efficiency, including access to things like energy audits, which is a place where people need to get help getting started. Putting a price on carbon, but making sure the right people pay, so the right strategy to make sure that if people are paying a carbon tax or whatever, that they're getting that money back in other ways. A lot of what Iron and Earth was saying in terms of retraining, investment technologies and stuff was definitely there. Subsidies, policies, there are cities that are going to be banning gas-powered cars by 2025 or 2050 or whatever it is. Stuff like that motivates people to get it done. And for Indigenous peoples, just really making sure that we respect their rights, that we give visibility to their issues, and that they have access to the same subsidies and other things that we do.
Thank you. All of you have YouTube at home, right? Look up a guy named Tony Seba, S-E-B-A, and look at his lecture on pricing energy in the future. It'll be a real eye-opener for all of you, okay? Thank you.
Well, we only got through 2 questions. Naturally, it's okay. Something that we actually talked at length about was the carbon tax, and everybody did agree about it at our table. We agree that it sends a clear signal for the economic movement towards a more sustainable and green technologies and innovation as well. We also talked about how energy efficiency strategies could be more talked about by the government, and it's a strategy that can be easily implemented very quickly. Oh, yikes, okay. One thing that was really neat that I haven't heard about much before is bringing in ideas across international boundaries, seeing how things work already internationally and then bringing it into Canada.
Yeah.
Lastly, I'm so sorry. Enabling all renewable technologies to have a level, equal playing field. So, for example, there's no policy written right now for geothermal. I think that needs to change. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, we agree with everything. No, maybe not. A lot of emphasis on small, local, co-op kinds of undertakings. So we don't want TPP and CETA.
No.
Yeah.
Like somebody before me, we didn't like the grow the economy question. So we thought we'd like to live within our means somehow or other. Somebody did point out that growing population makes that difficult, but we stopped there. Carbon levy, not carbon tax, was suggested. Anything that can pay you back for bringing down your carbon consumption is good. Yes, sir.
Like all the groups here, my group, we talked about a lot of different solutions. We talked about energy storage, mass transit, utilizing oil and gas expertise to transition to renewables. We talked about a potential place for nuclear power, reducing agricultural lands by reducing meat consumption, energy conservation, carbon tax. And I guess the point is that there's so many different solutions out there to reduce GHG emissions. There's no right or wrong solution as long as all of the combined solutions help us meet our overall reduction targets.
So we went at extensions of land in the first two questions, so much so that we barely got through them. But one of the things that definitely came up throughout the discussion was that we need to decentralize the system of energy production, food production, water and collection. And another thing that came up that was really interesting is the ethical consideration for where we source our renewable energy. Because if we source it from slave labor in China, it's probably a bad idea. Another thing that we realized is that we had to do something to inspire the people. One thing we could, because currently there's not much that we can point to as sustainable and say, look at that, look at that. So one thing that the Canadian government can do is build Elon Musk's Hyperloop from coast to coast. We did it with the CPR, we've done it with pipelines. We're just putting a train in a bigger pipe. We might as well do it. And finally, another thing that came up was just to put eco-nutrition facts. So like every time you walk into McDonald's or Burger King, there'd be like tons of carbon used to make this product. And with that, I would like to formally ask the Trudeau government to declare war on climate change, because we can declare war on terror, which is an unwinnable concept. At least we can declare war on something we have a chance against.
And adding to that comment about food, I know we all love steaks and hamburgers, but does anyone really know the process or how much water it takes to actually produce one hamburger? It's 660 gallons of fresh, clean water. The numbers are staggering. I understand it's tough to control the diet. It's something that we don't need. Protein is an alternative that we can have by any other means, by soya, lentils. If we ate less, if 50% of us ate less meat, that's like 240 million cars off the road. So just eat for the environment. I'm vegan, I'm proof of it. I'm alive, I'm well. I've never been so healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Some really amazing ideas right there. I may be at this point the most hated person in this room. I apologize for keeping people on time, but we want to get people out and respect people's time. We're going to finish up very quickly with a call out from one of our partners from Solar for All. If Andy wants to talk for 2 seconds.
Sign up for our email list.
Yeah, and on your way out, sign up for the email list. We had a question earlier that was, we've had 2 successful town halls. How do we get things moving and make this happen? The answer is by coming together and demanding change and working together on collaborative projects. We need to do that. We need to stay connected. So sign up for the email list. Check out the email lists and actions of various partners out there. Iron Earth has an amazing petition. Solar for All is an amazing petition. Leadnow is gone. But I hope you've talked to them before. And we're going to end with call out for volunteers from Solar for All. And thank you, everyone. Have an amazing, amazing night.
Thank you, Matt. I know that a lot of good work has been done here tonight. I want to congratulate you all. I'm Andy Kubrin. I'm working on a campaign called Solar for All. We are looking for decentralized and democratized energy production, solar energy production here in the province of Alberta. The jurisdictional levers, I think for at least part of this, a large part, are with the province of Alberta. We have a campaign on the go. I need your signatures. I want your help. I want your involvement. Solar for All would be a great project to advance our aims. Please see me. I'm there at the door. Solarforall.ca.
I lied. 2 last housekeeping notes. Leave your papers on the table. We'll collect them all. Distribute our results. And there's a donation jar on the table on the way out. This event, had costs. We'd love it if you could help us cover them. Thanks. Have a great night.